This is AWS On Air, and we are live at the New York Summit at the Javits Center, bustling here today. We've got a really exciting feature that we are going to be talking about within App Config that literally all of you are probably, after this session, are going to want to go and right away implement it into your application. But before we get there, we've got this amazing panel of people here to introduce. So my name is Jillian Ford, and I'm a startup solutions architect. My amazing co-host is...
Hey, I'm Danny Trapp-Hagen, and I am a senior SA, and I'm in the startups org as well, but I focus on healthcare and life sciences customers. And I'll pass it over to our guest today.
Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Rice. I'm Principal Product Manager for AWS App Config.
So for people here who have not used App Config before, can you just explain what App Config is?
Sure.
And feature flags?
And feature flags, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk about that. So I like to tell the story by starting with kind of a tale of two different engineering teams.
Okay.
Okay, so sort of the old way of doing software development, which I remember, I got gray hair, I remember doing things this way. The old way was, okay, we're going to release a new feature, we're going to work on it for 3 months, and then launch day's coming up, and then we're cutting it close. And then the marketing team tells us, oh, we need to launch at 9 p.m. on a Friday. Now, all of you technologists out there.
You never deploy
right,
on a Friday.
We never deploy on a Friday.
Not to pride. Right. No, no, no.
But we got to do it. We really need to launch that time. And so we look at our pipelines about how long it takes us to do a new release of our software. Let's say it takes 2 hours. So we work backwards and say, yeah, about 7 p.m., let's start our build process. And we commit the last commit. And the feature works in staging and QA. And then it starts down the pipeline. We're waiting. We're hoping it's timed pretty well for 9 o'clock. And 9 o'clock rolls out, and the new version's pushed out there. But if something goes wrong, which often it does, then we're stuck. Then we have to scramble. We have to do a new version of our software and push that out. So you're sort of in this weird situation where you cannot do these late deploys, as you talked about, and if something goes wrong, you have to start all over again. So what App Config and feature flags allow you to do is a different way of approaching feature development. When you are writing your feature, the first thing you commit is a feature flag on that branch. You commit a feature flag that the flag can hide the feature. So you have your flag out there, and you have your code running behind, but nobody can access that code, because it's a simple toggle. It's an if, then, else statement in your code that says, if feature is enabled, then show people the feature. If it's not enabled, don't show the feature yet. So you can still push things out. You can push it out the day before. I was talking about the Friday launch. So on Thursday, you can actually push out your code. And then you can turn on that feature flag, which enables the feature for just a small set of your users, and yourself probably is the right first set of users, and play around, make sure that the feature's working correctly on production, turn it off, and then Friday night comes along at 9 o'clock, you're not doing a big deploy, you're not pushing your code out, you're not restarting your application, but instead you're simply toggling that feature flag, and that enables the feature for all your customers to take, and marketing's happy, and it was a much lower risk launch.
So, I love that. I love having kind of an incremental approach to things. I find with really beautiful and resilient architectures, taking that small step is much better than just hoping and praying for the best on a Friday night when you're trying to have a good time and watch some Netflix.
Right, exactly.
You know, I don't want to get paged, do you?
Oh, like, no, just everyone has a dev friend who's probably gone through that pain of what you were saying, and we like our friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you can turn on the feature, and you can also turn off that feature. So if something goes wrong and you're in the middle of your Netflix movie and you really don't want to get on your keyboard, you can get on there. And again, the old way is that I'm going to go on there, I'm going to debug it, I'm going to find what the fix is, I'm going to get it through QA, I'm going to push it through our pipelines, a couple hours later, you got the bug fixed. With feature flags, if there's a problem and you can turn off the feature, instead, you go in, you just simply toggle that feature, you turn it off, at 11 at night or whatever, and you can deal with it in the morning. So it kind of gives you your nights back, which is a really nice benefit, being able to turn off short-term the feature.
So one question that comes up for me is, I've heard of this concept of an extension, right? So why do customers even need extensions? What's the purpose behind them? How does it help them innovate faster? Is another question I have, and I think you might be the right person to answer that for me. I don't know.
It's not me, so.
This little internal voice in my gut telling me
it's definitely not this side.
I think I can answer that. I think I can answer that.
Sweet.
So So today we are announcing the launch of App Config extensions. And actually I have the App Config engineering team here to help celebrate that. So this is a really big deal for us. Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey team.
And an extension is kind of what it sounds like in that it extends the capability of what App Config is. So we have a service inside of AWS and it does quite a bit of things, but we actually were listening to our customers and we're getting a lot of feature requests about how we can enhance the life cycle of dynamic configuration or feature flags, same kind of thing.
Okay.
And we took a step back and thought, well, we can innovate this fast, but if we have a model where our customers can build on top of that, that's a force multiplier where our customers can innovate on top of that and we can get innovation through the roof. Yeah. And so what extensions really let us do is accelerate the rate of innovation of feature flags. It's a super hot space, feature flags, and so opening the door to let our customers be able to build things on top of App Config is what the notion of extensions are all about.
Yeah, and then you use the term dynamic configuration. Yep. So does this, extensions allows you to be able to do dynamic configuration?
Yeah, dynamic configuration is maybe an industry term, I apologize. The shorthand version is feature flags. Okay. But the idea that you have your application and it has configuration, which pretty much every application has, but if you change that configuration, it actually results in a very quick change in how your software behaves. Your software is constantly pinging your configuration, and when it sees a change, it updates itself in real time. Again, without a restart or a redeploy of the code. So dynamic configuration and feature flags are really similar in terms of concepts. It's being able to change the behavior of your software while it's running on production.
It's like a soft commit, It's just gentle.
Yes, exactly.
I like a gentle form of software development.
Yeah.
It just feels nice and cozy.
To your point, it's very agile, it's very incremental.
Right.
It fits in with those sort of
brute forcing stuff, putting that force flag on things, not always the best method.
Exactly.
Sometimes it doesn't go so well.
Nope.
For sure.
Yeah, I know there might be some people who are just new to this concept of using feature flags, and they might be maybe a little skeptical. They're not sure, is it really safe to be using this? So any advice for that?
Yeah, feature flags sound great because it's like, oh, like I said, I can get my nights back, or I can, don't have to coordinate with marketing as much. I can just push stuff out. But there is some danger in doing it. If you have code in a branch, like I said, there's an if then else, and nobody's ever seen this new piece of code before, nobody's ever exercised the code on production, and you turn on the feature flag for everybody, it is sort of like pushing that new untested code to production for everybody, so we don't recommend doing that.
Yeah.
App Config actually has some safety controls built in that make that turning on of the feature flag a much safer thing. There's basically three things.
Guardrails.
We do some validation to make sure that the flag data is what you expected it to be, so the flag data might be a number between 1 and 100, and you might say, okay, I'm going to validate that somebody didn't accidentally type in 1,000, which who knows what your software would do if you did that. We also have a gradual rollout, and this is super important. As I said, marketing loves to have the big bang and everybody get the feature all at the same second. That's sort of an anti-pattern. We use App Config internally. I forgot to mention App Config internally inside of AWS quite a bit. It's one of the top services for things like Prime Day, which is happening today. And so we get a lot of feedback from our internal usage, and then we build those things into the product. And this gradual deployment is one of those things that we built in because we realize, turning it on right away, it can cause a big mess. Turning it on to 1% of your users, and then 10% of your users, and then 20, et cetera. And being able to measure as you go along over the course of an hour or days is a much safer way to release that software.
Yeah, and I work with a lot of startup customers, right? And so one thing that happens with startup customers is that they're victims of their own success. And so being able to really, test out scaling the users that are using these new features seems like it would be really powerful for those types of customers.
Absolutely, and getting back to what you were talking about with Agile, it seems sort of a weird way to release software, to do that kind of jack in the box, I'm going to push it out to everybody without any data, I just hope it works. We have the technology now to do 5% small cohort, make sure we're measuring, we get the reaction, and then 10 and 20, and people are just used to this kind of thing of that there's always a little bit of an experimentation going on in the software.
Math, science,
yes.
We love it.
Exactly.
It works.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so if somebody already is starting with a CICD pipeline, what are ways that they can integrate feature flags into their deployment?
Yeah, sort of depending on where you are in your journey of CI/CD, feature flags fit in a lot of places. So you want to separate your code from your configuration data. That's sort of step one.
Decouple those.
Decouple those, right? Don't have inline configuration that you have to hunt and peck for when you need to make a change. So first you separate it. The second step is what I was talking about, where you want the software to be pinging the configuration data on a regular basis. We have some customers that want to check for configuration updates every 5 seconds. We have ones that just want to do it once a day. It depends on what your configuration data is. But as I said, you'll push out the new feature and the code through your CI/CD pipeline. It's checking the configuration, which is also in a pipeline. And it basically is looking, should I turn this on for users or shouldn't I? Or should I turn this on for 1% of my users or 3% or however it's configured?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. This sounds great. I definitely want to see a demo. I'm sure everyone here is probably excited and wants to see it.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're ready to do a demo. I think my screen is being broadcast. I hope so. So the first thing I'm going to do, as we talked about, I haven't talked a lot about extensions yet. So I'm just going to show you the basics of feature flags, and then I'll walk into the extensions piece. So this is our feature flag console, which essentially...
And that's in Systems Manager, right?
Yes, this is inside of App Config, which is a feature of Systems Manager. And I put a sample flag here that was enable address verification. I'm going to actually just add another flag very quickly here. So I'm going to just call this flag 2. I am going to call this a short-term flag. This is something that I want to clean up later. This is one of the other problems with feature flags. You can have a lot of branches in your code, and you have to be careful that you don't have a messy code base.
Right.
So if you have a feature flag, and then you've launched your feature, and it's been out there for a week, you want to make sure that you clean up your code and you clean up the feature flags. So this little checkbox here helps you keep track of which feature flags need to be cleaned up.
Cool.
Oh, so like short term though, meaning like which ones you want to clean up in the short?
Yes.
Like,
there are certain cases where you want them long term. I'll give you an example there where we have customers that will do throttling with a feature flag, so they want it, maybe it's like a transactions per second, and they want to be able to set that at between 500 transactions per second or 1,000, and they set that with a value.
Oh, that's cool.
That goes
you can
up
get
and down.
that granular there.
Absolutely.
All right, nice.
And so you can set with a value. That's something you'll want to keep in there long term, so you wouldn't check that short term. You don't want to clean that up. That's a really handy tool to be able to tune your application during live events or big surges. So, okay, so this is just a sample flag. I'm going to deploy that. So I've added 2 flags here. And there's a reference. There's a key value pair of flag 2. I'm going to deploy this out there. We have a lot of different ways of deploying. As I said, you can deploy fast, you can deploy slow. Since we're in a demo mode here, I'm just going to...
You can deploy on Fridays?
Yes, you can deploy on Fridays. I'm going to just deploy this. And it is deployed. So if I had code that was reading that flag 2 value, it would make an update, which is kind of neat. So again, that's sort of the life cycle of building dynamic configuration or feature flags. I created it, I deployed it, and then now it's out there, okay? So what extensions does, I'm going to switch gears a little bit to extensions.
Yeah.
Extensions gives you hooks along that life cycle so you can do other things like call a Lambda function, for example, right when feature flag data is created, or right when feature flag data is starting to roll out, or right when feature flag data is done rolling out. So customers can build these things, and then we've also created some extensions ourselves, which I'll show you that will help customers. So.
I got one quick question before we go into that, because when you were explaining feature flags, you were saying that you could do like sort of like a rolling deployment or scheduled.
Yes.
And at least I didn't quite see that here.
I didn't see that in my demo. Remember I said that was the instant deployment? I can go back.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that like if someone else were to do it, that they don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Looking out for everyone at home.
I appreciate that. Let me do a demo here.
That's why
I'll just show you here. We call them deployment strategies.
Okay, perfect.
So we have some pre-built ones inside of App Config that some recommended, but a customer can actually do whatever they want. They can have it be 1 minute, they can have it be 100 minutes, they can have it be...
You can customize this,
exactly.
right? Because I see right here you have linear 50% every 30 seconds.
Yep.
That makes sense to my math brain.
Yes.
All right, let's linearly progress this. 50% in a time frame of 30 seconds. Boom.
Absolutely.
Testing stuff.
Absolutely.
We're making sure it's good to go.
Exactly. So this is where you control how it's rolled out.
Got it. And those are already in the AWS console, like
Yes.
as a pre-deployed.
Those are available,
perfect.
in the console and CLI
Right.
as
I just
well
love
as
the easy
different,
button.
so,
Anything that's like
yes. And again, we do have customers that want to create their own, and we welcome that. That's sometimes important.
Yeah,
Whatever
exactly.
their workflow is. So.
Exactly.
Sweet.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, I'm going to go back
All right,
to
so how's Flag
extensions.
2? Let's find out more
Yeah.
about Flag 2. Or no,
Well,
you're
I'm
going to
move on to extensions.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
fine.
okay.
Fine.
Flag 2's
Yeah, that's fine.
Flag 2's
Goodbye,
out
Flag
there.
2.
We'll be in
Yeah.
suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll follow up with Flag 2 at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so extensions. If you notice, again, this is brand new today, so I'm
Okay.
really happy that I'm able to show this to you. Here's some extensions that AWS has created that we're going to vend to our customers here. And the one I'm going to show you is an integration with SNS.
SNS. Oh,
So
okay.
that's a big,
what this
okay.
does
I
is
love a little simple notification service.
Yes. So yeah, if you don't know what that is, it'll send you notifications as you see fit, and you can get them via email or SMS or a lot of other, and you can actually have an endpoint. You can actually get them posted into Slack, which is an interesting use case here. You might want to know when configuration data is being deployed and when it's done being deployed. So if you look at this here,
Little Slack bot integration.
yes, exactly.
Woo.
There we go.
So
Love that.
if you look here, you can see that we have an event, an action point called on deployment start. We have one on deployment complete, and then we have this middle one here,
Roll
on
back,
deployment roll
in case
back.
it's like,
perfect.
no, no, no.
Okay.
If something
Dial it on
goes
back.
wrong, if
Yeah.
something
Okay.
goes wrong, we can automatically roll back your configuration data. So this is a neat extension, and as I have it attached to my application, which is my sample application here, you can.
Sorry, that was the aliens from
Yeah, I'm
above.
not
If
sure
you
what
guys
that
heard
was.
that, they're here.
They're coming
ahead,
for
sorry
us.
about that.
Yeah. As I push out any changes to my application configuration data, I'll get notifications in an email. So let me just go back here, and I'm going to do another quick deploy. And again, I'm going to be, in the interest of time, just do an instant one. And I have it wired to my phone, and I got the notification.
Wow.
So this is a nice way for people to.
No, he really
keep
did.
track.
I looked.
For people to keep track of the progress of their data, so your whole team can be informed when configuration data changes. The second part of what I want to show you is the ability to write your own.
Okay.
So a lot of our customers were interested in extending what a configuration deployment can do. They may have a custom workflow where they want to have like a two-person review or a more complex kind of workflow.
Right.
And
Makes
so
sense.
by attaching on that hook, you can attach an extension of, say, like step functions. And you can use step functions to create a custom
Okay.
workflow
Yeah.
that would say, like, don't deploy this extension until the following people have approved it.
Oh, I
So,
liked that.
I'm not going to create all of that right now. I'm just going to show you our create extensions interface. You give each extension a name. And then, as I mentioned, there's a lot of action points.
Okay, so then would step functions be down here for the URI, or what?
Yes.
No.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. You would eventually hook into there. So here is the list of action points. So again, you can do it when there's new configuration data created. You can do it when it's deployed. You can do it in the middle of its deploy. You can do it when it's rolling back.
Okay.
Wow.
And then you can choose an endpoint. So essentially, in this case, I'll just create a Lambda function. The Lambda function can call something. So, and I attach this, again, to something like configuration data or feature flag data. And when that feature flag data changes, this extension fires. It's, right now, if a customer creates this, it's in their own workflow. They're not sharing it with the world. In the future, we may look at doing something that's a little more open.
Yeah.
But right now, we have the AWS vended ones and the customer created ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, Steve, this is just like so amazing. I mean, where should people go if they want to like learn more and actually get started?
Yeah, so our documentation page is probably the right place. So since this just launched, I'm not sure SEO has caught up quite yet, but hopefully by the end of today. But if you go to just search on AWS App Config, you'll see a section on extensions.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
I learned a
yeah,
lot.
I know. Thank you so much. Stick around. We've got more coming up today on This is AWS On Air.